Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday. My name is Ellie Garrity, and I'm the manager of Alumni Career Programs with the Alumni Association. We're excited that you're able to join us for today's webinar, Mindfulness Meditation in Uncertain Times with Gwendolyn Dorsey. This webinar is part of the Alumni Association's professional development webinar series, in which we hope to provide thought-provoking and valuable content that will help alumni like you achieve your personal and professional goals. Please keep a close eye on our upcoming webinar series as we look to provide relevant content during the COVID-19 outbreak to help you continue to be successful at work and at home. Okay, we have a lot of information to cover today, but we want you to get the most out of this webinar and mindfulness practice. So please feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation, and Gwen is happy to answer them at any time. Now, about our presenter, Dr. Gwendolyn Dorsey has over 30 years of education experience as a high school teacher, mentor, and a middle and high school instructional leader. As a leader, Dr. Dorsey strived to increase teacher leaders in each school experience. Throughout her tenure, she worked with students in assisting them with setting their goals, encouraging them to work hard and weigh their options, apply and graduate from some type of post-secondary educational program, and learn to advocate for themselves. Dr. Dorsey serves on the Women in Business Initiative Advisory Board at George Mason University and the George Washington University Educational Administration Advisory Board. Currently, Dr. Dorsey offers education consulting services and mindfulness workshops. And now we'll get started. Gwen, feel free to take it away and I'll launch your first poll.
Thank you very much, Ellie, and good afternoon to everyone who has joined the webinar. I'm very excited to share. I just want to let everyone know that I enjoyed my Terp experience as an undergraduate and graduate at Maryland University, the College Park campus. And one of the things that I remember most, because I was a commuter student, so didn't always get to participate in a lot of things, but I really did have a lot of respect and appreciate my advisor, Dr. Farran, and one of my professors, Dr. Peters. I also want to put a shout out to a person that I never met in person, but he was able to help me with an advanced accounting course, and we talked over the phone. He was a retired accountant, and I've never forgotten his generosity, and so I also enjoy giving back to my Terp community and any other community that I feel that I can be helpful in. So thank you for joining this webinar. All right, so I'd like to start off with this quote. This is a lady that I follow sometimes on Twitter, and her quote struck me. It said that we're always paying attention to something, and so it's important to figure out what that attention is, because whatever you focus on is going to help your mind to grow. So we will be talking about how mindfulness helps you to focus on the moment to moment, and to keep you in the present. And so with mindfulness practice, it helps you to grow or expand your mindfulness and attention to your environment, surroundings, and everything that you do throughout your daily life. Ellie, you're going to put the poll?
Hi, Gwen. Yeah, so the poll is in progress. We have a couple people who have voted so far.
Okay.
We have about 100% of folks saying that they have heard of mindfulness before. In terms of people who have practiced mindfulness before, about 25% said yes, 75% said no. So glad people are tuning in today. And then in terms of question 3, research suggests mindfulness may. We have 100% of answers going to all of the above. So I'll let you speak to that and I'll end the poll.
Thank you very much. Well, it's great to hear that everyone has heard about mindfulness, because I know since the early 2000s, I think mindfulness has really bloomed into a lot of areas. Schools, corporations and other small businesses, exercise places, sometimes they include it with yoga and that type of thing. So that's really, really grown a lot I'd say in the last 10, 15 years. The fact that some people are not practicing mindfulness is okay. People have other ways of doing things that help them um, get through the day and help them feel better about themselves and their life. And that's also fine. People choose what they would like to do. So I'm hoping, though, that you'll learn a lot about mindfulness and how positive it can be to your life. So again, mindfulness is simply being in the present and also in the moment. And one of the things that I think we also sometimes forget is that when you're being intentional about something, such as being mindful, it also helps you to be kind and compassionate to others. But a big takeaway about mindfulness is it's okay also, very okay also, to be kind and self-compassionate, because it's important for each of us to feel good about ourselves no matter what's going on in our lives today. One of the gurus of mindfulness and mindfulness meditation is Jon Kabat-Zinn, and he has a very formal definition that I'd like for you to read. So again, he's talking about paying attention deliberately on purpose to make sure that you're in the moment. And one of the key things that he emphasizes, as well as other people who have studied and practiced mindfulness, is that you never want to be judgmental or self-critical about what's happening for you moment by moment. I think that's one of the big takeaways about mindfulness. Yes, we have all kinds of things going on in our lives, but to be non-judgmental and to be gentle with ourselves as we're going through crises or other things that we are experiencing. Jon Kabat-Zinn started a program at the University of Massachusetts hospital or medical school in the late 70s. And now we have over 200 programs worldwide. And his program was called the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. He worked with a lot of patients who either had cancer or some other debilitating diseases. And so they were in a lot of pain. They had anxiety and stress. So he came up with a plan to help them, because at a certain point, he could only work with them so far in terms of treatment and uh, diagnoses and surgeries. So he wanted a way to help them be able to help manage some of their anxiety and stress and pain. In 1983, there were only 3 peer-reviewed articles about mindfulness. But as of 2013, there are over 1,300 peer-reviewed articles about the importance of mindfulness. So we talked about what mindfulness is. It's being in the moment, not judging yourself, and living moment to moment. But there are some things that mindfulness is not. And that is sometimes in school, people not necessarily are using it as a disciplinary tactic, but we want to emphasize that it's not for disciplinary reasons. Mindfulness is also not a blank mind or that you're constantly calm and happy. We all know that we have a lot of things going on in our mind, and so we can't always be oblivious or thinking that we're, on top of the world all the time. And of course, mindfulness is not a cure-all. It's not something that's just going to help us with everything that bothers us. And again, it's not having a blank mind. We all think, we have all kinds of thoughts that are going through our minds, and that is fine. That's okay. And another piece that mindfulness is not, it's not a religion. And there have been programs in schools, and all the programs are secular in nature. And the mindfulness practice that I participate in is also secular. Some important things about mindfulness is that it changes the brain when you practice on a regular basis. One of the things that we've discovered is that it does impact our amygdala. It is the part of the brain that is the flight or fight part of the brain. If we are fearful or scared, that tends to highlight. And so when we practice mindfulness, it helps to decrease that, or at least it does not activate as quickly. The second part of the brain, which is the hippocampus, that part of the brain helps us with our learning and our memory. So when you practice mindfulness, it helps to, it helps to less activate the amygdala. The amygdala. For some reason, I'm having difficulty pronouncing that. So it also helps to increase the gray matter density in our brain. The third part of our brain, which is the front part of the brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, that helps us as we mature, as we get older, we start to make more wise decisions. So it helps to regulate our emotions and our behavior. Now, mindfulness helps us to not have impulsive reactions. Typically, when something occurs, we automatically respond. But with mindfulness, it gives us, it gives us an opportunity to reflect on what occurred and how we're going to respond. For example, let's say you're in the grocery store and you're going down the aisle and someone is behind you and their basket hits the back of your ankle, because that does hurt. I've had that happen to me. So, and I've had this happen to me before. And so my initial reaction in the past would be to turn around and sort of give them a strange look to say, okay, do you know what you did? But now, if I have something like that occur in this grocery store, or if I'm shopping somewhere and someone bumps into me, instead of having a quick reaction, I kind of think to myself, okay, it happened. Was it deliberate or not? And typically it's not. So you think about that for a moment, and what is your response or reaction going to be? And typically I would turn around and the person will say, excuse me, or I'm so sorry. And I'll say, oh, it's okay. I know you didn't mean it. So it gives you a chance to think about, not ignore your reaction or your response, but to think about it carefully before you make a response. And that's the difference with adding mindfulness to your practice or your routine. I work with a number of first-generation college students. They are attending a local community college, and they had a guest speaker, Mr. Miller, who came in to talk about growth mindset. So one of the things that he gave an example of, which I feel is similar to what we just looked at, was that if an event occurs and you have a response, that response that you provide is going to determine the outcome of what you're looking for. So that outcome can be a positive outcome or a successful outcome, or it can be an unsuccessful outcome. So a lot of my students understood about this when we were talking a little bit about mindfulness in the class and their experience in being stressed out before a test or an exam, or because they're working or helping to provide for the family or doing a number of things in addition to going to school. So they're also learning a little bit about mindfulness and how it can help you become a little bit more thoughtful in your reaction or responses to things that are occurring. So I thought this was a good piece to add to my presentation. Ellie, do we have any questions?
Thanks for checking back. I will just encourage anyone, if you have any questions about what Gwen has discussed so far, feel free to chat them in the chat box, and I'll just make note of that and stop you, Gwen, when we have a question or two. I will just say we had a couple people who weren't able to see the poll, so apologies for that. But we do have most folks saying that they are familiar with mindfulness and have done some sort of practice with mindfulness. But I will circle back, Gwen, when we get a couple questions in.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So we talked about mindfulness and what it is and isn't. And so this particular model that was set up by a researcher with his colleagues talks about how mindfulness practice is very beneficial and has several very beneficial outcomes. And those three outcomes are your emotion regulation, your attention control, and self-awareness. Emotion regulation is just simply being better at able to engage in a task, even though you may be upset about something, or you may have a conflict with another employee, or something is going on in your life that is bothering you. You're able to sort of set that aside so that you can continue working on whatever it is that you're working on. And with attention control, it just simply means, again, that you're able to concentrate and you make a decision as to what you're going to concentrate on. So it allows you choice. It allows you to be alert to make decisions while you're working or whatever activity you're participating in. Then, of course, self-awareness, we come back to the kindness and the self-compassion that you show yourself and you show others. So these three things are very, very helpful and beneficial when you're practicing mindfulness. All right. So we know that mindfulness involves being in the moment, in the present moment. With meditation, and mindfulness can be done anywhere. If you're brushing your teeth, if you're taking a walk, if you're eating an orange, if you're washing your hands because it's COVID-19 and you're trying to take care of yourself. So all of those things can be done in a mindful way at any point in time. With meditation, however, it's about being able to focus and concentrate on typically your breath or a mantra, something that you would say to yourself over and over as part of your meditation. Or it could be a visualization where you're thinking about being at the Eiffel Tower in Paris, or perhaps maybe at the beach. You can think that you're in that place while you're meditating. So that's the difference between being mindfulness and being in meditation. So when you're meditating, typically you are sitting and you try to meditate at the same time every single day. And you try to find either a room or a spot in your home that you dedicate to your meditation practice. So for example, I prefer to meditate every morning before I start my day. So as soon as the alarm goes off, I think for a couple seconds. I do not touch my phone or don't get on my computer. I take my 15-minute meditation time seriously. And then after that, I can start my day. So if it's something that you've been doing, great. If it's something you'd like to try, that would be great too. But the key piece about mindfulness meditation is that you're consistent in doing this on a daily basis. So we talked about mindfulness and we talked about meditation. So the intersection of the two is simply being in the present moment. So you can see where they both overlap with each other. And so the darkened slide that I've shown you here tells you where they intersect. I wanted to just mention, there was a very interesting short article in something called Very Well Mind. It was written by Kathy Wong, and it came out just last month, 2020. And it's called How to Practice Mindful Meditation. It's very short and to the point, so if that's something that you're interested in looking up or looking into, I can share that again at the end of the presentation.
Hey Gwen. Oh,
Yes.
I was just gonna chime in to say we got a question about COVID-19 related best practices with meditation and mindfulness, but looks like you will be getting to that right now.
Yes, that's my next slide. So
Great.
yes, we are very involved with the COVID-19, and I understand that Governor Hogan just put out a new initiative stating that we are now going to be sheltering in place. And it's my understanding that sheltering in place means that you can only go out for groceries or your medicine or something that has to be done. But that's going to start this evening at 8 p.m. I believe that people that are still considered essential will be able to leave their homes, but the rest of us are supposed to stay at home unless we have to go out for necessities. So during the uncertain times with the COVID-19, I understand that there's a lot of stress and anxiety. People are unsure about their jobs, so some people may have already been laid off. There's all kinds of emotions that may be running through. Lots of families right now have started this week, I believe, with what I'm calling homeschooling. Teachers have been gearing up to come up with things that they can have students do via online. And of course, we are home being social distancing, and some of us may be very isolated. So these are the very uncertain times that we have with COVID. And I am offering some practical tips for coping with this pandemic that we have right now. So when you're looking at mindfulness meditation, there are a number of things that you can do. First of all, you want to do not bury your feelings. You want to notice your feelings, acknowledge them. It's okay. We all have fears and concerns of all kinds of things, but especially in this time, because we're not sure what's happening. So it allows you to be, when you're meditating and you're being mindful, it allows you to be aware of what's happening. It enables you to plan mindfully. When you're exercising and walking, you can do that mindfully because you can think about and feel, for example, when you're walking, your feet touching the ground, listening to the leaves rustle, hearing the birds chirping outside, or if the wind is blowing, you can feel that on your skin as you're walking. And you're thinking about things as you're walking and listening to these things. When you're running, some people like to have music. You can do a mindful run. You can eat good food. There are courses that you can take that talk about how you can take a raisin and examine that raisin, look at it, think about it before you take that first bite. And when you bite into the raisin, what does it taste like? What does it feel like in your mouth? This is all part of being mindful and participating in mindfulness. It allows you to be a little bit more freer in a sense. Some additional tips. You want to make sure that you're breathing. If you're working from home, and there are a number of you working from home in the same family, you want to try to create a little workspace or a nook or a corner. If you have to share your laptop, maybe Joey can have it for an hour and maybe Susie will have it the next hour. You would work up with a schedule and a plan. You want to build breaks into your schedule. I found an interesting article that talked about creating a home to work commute. That could simply mean you could go out on your deck or go on your patio to drink your coffee or have your morning breakfast. Or you could take a quick walk around the block before you get started with your day. So there are a number of things that you can do. Taking a bubble bath. You can meditate and be mindful during that. Taking care of your family and making sure that all of them are getting the self-care that they need. Because we're all going through a strange time with a virus that has no known cure yet, even though people are working very hard to try to find some way to help us with that virus. Oh, before we talk about the 4 attitudes for successful meditation, I just want to go back a second and talk about the breathing. I would like for us to take just a couple of seconds. You can sit up in your chair if you're sitting. That's usually preferable. You want to have your feet flat on the floor. And then I'd like for you to take 3 deep breaths, but we're going to do it this way. When you inhale, you're going to inhale on the count of 4, and I'll count for you. And then you're going to exhale on the count of 8. Hopefully everyone is ready. You're sitting up, feet are flat on the floor. Your palms can be gently on your lap. resting on your lap. And we're going to take a breath. We're going to breathe deeply. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll try that again. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. Breathe. 2, 3, 4. Exhale out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And think for a moment, how did that feel? Sometimes it just takes just a quick breather or a quick breath. You can be anywhere in the room, but you can do that if you need a break. You can just take a few deep breaths. You know, there are 4 attitudes that you want to have for a successful meditation. The first one, of course, is that you don't want to have any expectations. If you have an expectation that you're going to feel a certain way when you go into your meditation, you may find yourself getting frustrated. So that's the reason why you should not have any expectations. You just go to it. You don't expect anything. You don't expect to be calm. You don't expect to be blissful. You don't expect to have a blank mind. You just want to experience it. And whatever happens, happens. Also, you don't want to judge. You don't want to be critical of yourself. You may be calm, or you could be anxious, but just be gentle and just go with the flow. You also want to be an observer of yourself. You're going to have all kinds of thoughts and emotions during your meditation. You don't try to get rid of them. But I know that sometimes when you're first starting out, for example, and you're trying to concentrate on your breath, but your mind wanders, instead of getting upset with yourself, you just simply slowly bring your mind back to the breath, and you continue to breathe. And you continue that for however long that you need to, because we are human beings and we have all kinds of things going on in our mind and our brain. Then, of course, you want to have a beginner's mind. So every time you are going to sit for a meditation, you want to have an open mind about it, because each meditation experience that you'll have may or may not be different. Typically, they're different. It just depends on the day or what's happening in your life during that time. So you want to have a fresh and open mind about what's going to happen. Any questions?
Yeah,
Well,
sorry, I'm just reading the question that came in here. I think we have more of a comment here from Catherine, and it's to the deep breathing exercise that we did. And she was just noting sometimes that she does deep breathing. She said she does it before she unlocks the car, before starting the engine, before unlocking her office door. And just she's been creating that, specific intentional time to breathe throughout the day. So appreciate that comment, Catherine.
oh, I definitely appreciate it as well. That is excellent. And that's exactly the kinds of things that you want to do. And it really, to be honest, it's whatever works for you. There is no right or wrong way to be mindful. So that's excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Catherine.
Great. And another question, and this kind of stems off of Catherine's point about the times that she's incorporated these deep breathing exercises. But for some of the people who maybe listening in that, you know, are still working full-time from home. They have a family that's now at home. What are some other times that you suggest that they try to fit in? Maybe it's just a couple of those quick breathing exercises like we did, but outside of kind of when you first wake up in the morning, what are some other great times to implement the deep breathing?
Another great time would be when it's time for you to take your break. If you have a scheduled break time, it could be any time during the day that you feel that you need even 30 seconds, 10 seconds would help. Sometimes people will participate in deep breathing when they're cooking, when they are brushing their teeth. They might not be able to deep breathe at that point, but it's whatever break that you feel is best for you. Some people may decide that they want to take a quick breather if they're sitting at their makeshift desk at home. It's just a way to take a break and to just be in the moment, to have to sort of refresh yourself to begin again, to continue with the task that you're doing, or before you begin to have a talk with your students online or your children at home when you're getting ready to help them. It's just a quick couple seconds. It can be as long, short as you want. It can be in the evening. It can be done at any time that you want or feel that you have a need to take that moment.
Great, thank you. We have a couple other questions that came in. In terms of the slide that's on the screen right now, I know it talks about the 4 attitudes for a successful meditation. Does this also apply to mindfulness? And then part 2 to that question, could you describe, we have a couple folks just still trying to grasp the difference between meditation and mindfulness.
Sure. The 4 items that are on the screen, yes, they also pertain to mindfulness. And at this point, I want people to sort of think about the 2 together, as you saw on the previous slide, where they intersect with being in the present moment. Because when you are being mindful, and whether you're walking around just doing your breathing, or if you're actually doing a mindfulness meditation, you're still going to be in that moment. And it's a moment to moment, even while you're doing the meditation. So yes, it applies to both. And then the second question was, you said the difference between the 2?
Correct.
Okay, so mindfulness again is that you can do mindfulness anywhere you want. You can be at home, you can be outside, you can be walking, you can do any of that. But it's kind of difficult to meditate at any time that you want, unless you're at home and you can just pick any time you want. But typically for meditation, and you're going to pick a place in your home that's going to be dedicated just to meditating. It can be a special chair, it can be a cushion, and that's where you go to do your meditation, where you're going to focus and concentrate for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Some people go as long as 30, 35, 40. Right now, I just do a 15-minute mindfulness meditation every morning. And I would like to grow my length of time to meditate, but I have not gotten there yet. I'm still a work in progress. I would like to be able to do it for 30 minutes. I want to see if that will be even better for me. So everybody sort of picks their goal or their way that they want to spend time meditating. One of the researchers that I follow, not only is it John KABAT-ZINN, but there are other people such as Max Strom. There's a couple other people that I've been reading about, and they simply say that you want to have a place that you can call your own to do your meditation. So the only difference between the 2 is that being mindful and mindfulness can be done anywhere, at any time, at any moment. But meditation needs to be done in a specific place and a specific time. Did that answer the question?
Great, yeah, I hope so. Please chat in if you have any follow-up questions to that, but looks like we've covered our questions so far, Gwen, so you can continue on.
All right. So at this time, we're going to do a short meditation practice. As you can see here on the screen, it's a brain, and of course, lots of things are happening, But what I would hope that you will be able to do during the next 5 minutes is to just be in the moment. Don't have any judgment. Again, no expectations. You just want to have a beginner's mind. And because we are concerned about what's happening with the COVID-19, and there's been a lot of anxiety, fear, there may even been some family members who may have contracted the virus. Hopefully your family members are okay. We've been hearing a lot about people being sick, people dying as a result of the virus. And I think initially people were assuming there was only the older generation, but we now know that all ages can be impacted. Even the most littlest children can be impacted by this virus. So I'm hoping that we all have a way of reaching out to our significant others and family members and friends to check up on them via social distancing, using our social media to find out how people are doing, and that we are, hoping for the best. We are very appreciative of all the emergency responders who are on the line risking their lives to help us not contract the virus and to also find some type of cure or antidote for the virus so that we can get back to our lives. Of course, our lives will be changed because of this situation, but hopefully our lives will be changed for the better. So the meditation that we're going to be doing is about gratitude, because we should be grateful for the things that we are able to have while we are sheltering in place and taking care of our needs and families. So I'm going to get you prepared and get you ready for this mindfulness meditation. So what I would like you to do, or invite you to do, is to sit up tall. Please have your spine straight and your entire body relaxed. You want to have your feet flat on the floor. You can raise your shoulders up to your neck, roll them back and have them down so that they will be relaxed. Try that again. Bring your shoulders up to your neck or ears, roll back and have them come down, and try to relax them. You want to have your hands resting gently on your lap. If you so choose, you may close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or if it's not comfortable for you, you can simply have a soft downward gaze in front of you. Relax. Give yourself permission to let go of your busy day, of your busy life for the next few moments. Be present, here and now. Have a relaxed body and an alert mind. Your breath is natural, breathing through your nose. As we begin, remember, we have no expectations, no judgments, just simple observation. Bring to mind something that you are grateful for in your life. This can be a person, a place, an experience, or whatever you may choose. As you hold this image in your mind, begin to feel the feeling of gratitude that brings within your body. What do you notice in your body as you sink deeper into this feeling of thanks? There is no right or wrong. Now, imagine what you are grateful for as a golden, shimmering, warm ball of light in your heart area. See and feel its wonderful intensity in your heart's center. Now, breathe a little deeper and very relaxed. With each inhalation, allow this golden, shimmering ball of light to grow a little bigger within your body. Your expression of gratitude can be felt, growing bigger and stronger and brighter with each breath. Keep allowing this golden light of gratitude to grow bigger and bigger. Steadily as you inhale, allow it to grow beyond the edges of your body and outwards into this room if you feel comfortable doing so. Feel the gratitude grow stronger and larger. Now sit quietly and allow yourself to float and experience this beautiful feeling of gratitude within you and all around you. Notice how it feels. Remember this feeling. Now, as we end our meditation, allow me to guide you out. Please take some deep, slow breaths. Beginning to bring your awareness back into this room. Move your feet, feeling the contact of the feet to the floor. Wiggle your toes. Move your fingers and your hands. When you are ready, slowly open your eyes. I invite you to check in with yourself now. How are you feeling? What is your state of being? Remember, there are no right or wrong answers. Simply observe. I hope everyone enjoyed that gratitude meditation, and I hope you're feeling grateful. As we close out the webinar for today, I just want to share this analogy with you. Back in 2016, my family and I went to Europe for 2 weeks. And I kept hearing this phrase over and over again when we would get on the tube and we first started out in London. The announcer will constantly say, "Mind the gap." So yes, I mind the gap and I would pay attention to what I was doing. But the very first time I got on or tried to get on the tube, I almost lost my footing because there literally is a gap between the platform and stepping up and getting into the tube. And so my son and I sort of were left back because my daughter had already gotten on. And I could tell by her face that she was a little exasperated. But no problem, we were able to get on the next time and she waited for us at our stop. But I share this because when I started taking mindfulness classes, one of the teachers talked about how this was a great analogy for mindfulness. Because once you start becoming more mindful, you're paying attention to what's happening and you're taking a pause or you're minding the gap before you make that decision or have that response. So I just love that phrase, mind the gap, because it really relates to mindfulness. And to close out, I have a last quote, which I thought was very powerful, because again, it talks about something that may stimulate you, or there might be an event, or something will take place. And lots of us sometimes will have an immediate response, whether it's good or bad. But with mindfulness, you have an opportunity to take a pause and reflect on what's going to happen before you actually decide to make that response. You're not blocking something that's negative, but you're just simply thinking about taking a space, taking a pause before you go ahead with your response. So I thought this was a powerful quote to end our webinar. And I'd like to thank everyone again for participating. And if there are any final questions, please let me know at this point.
Great, thank you so much, Gwen. At this point, it looks like we've covered all of our questions, but is there anything else you want to cover before we wrap up?
Well, I'd just like to share quickly, just to let people know that there are sources of information that I did use. I don't expect anybody to try to write them down, but if someone wants to connect with me later, I'd be happy to share some of the resources. This is just one screen. I have some other resources that people may be familiar with as well. And then I also have some other available resources. There are tons and tons of books out. There are a variety of magazines. I'm not going to say I like one better than the other, but I do enjoy Mindful magazine, and I have read several articles out of the Greater Good magazine, which is affiliated with with Berkeley. Also, there are a variety of apps. I'm sure you all have heard about Calm and Headspace. There's some other ones that I've listed as well, but there are probably about 15 or 16 or so apps that are out on the market. And some of them are free, some of them are subscription based. So it just depends on what you may be interested in or what you may have heard other people talk about. And then, are there any final questions? And if there are no other questions, I'm happy to share my email. So if a question does come up, or if you'd like to have more information about mindfulness, please feel free to email me. And again, I'd like to thank Ellie for hosting me, and the Terps, Go Terps, for being a part of the Alumni Association, and also to thank my guests for being part of the webinar. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Great, thank you so much, Gwen. And like she said, feel free to contact her directly if you'd like more information or you want to discuss your own personal situation. We will be sending a recording of this webinar to the email address you used to register for this event. Again, hope everyone has a great day, stay healthy, and go Terps.
Thank you, Doctor. Go Terps.